So hello, everyone. My name is Joanne Pluff. I am an Associate Dean of Admission here at Hamilton College, and I am so excited that you're here with us today. Today, we are here to talk about some great resources we can offer you on campus. And with me are a couple of my colleagues. We have two of the admission officers in the chat who are here to answer questions, two of our cross-campus colleagues, and then four of our current students. So we'll get started with some introductions. So we will start with our colleagues first. Hi from New York City. Maria, if you want to tell us your title, what you do, and just to change it up a little bit, tell us your favorite song.
Oh my gosh, favorite song is going to take me forever, but I can definitely tell you my name. So hello, everyone. My name is Maria Hinao Ohms. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as the Associate Dean for Diversity and Inclusion. And I am based in the Division of Student Life. And for my favorite song, I'm going to have to say that it would probably have to be Africa by Toto. I mean, it's a classic.
Ooh, that's a fun one.
You know,
Not
just letting
expected.
you all know. I can tell you some current ones too, but that's definitely an oldie but a goodie.
Awesome. Paola, you want to go next?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Admissions, for having us here. My name is Paola Lopez. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and ella, and I am the director of the Days Masolo Center, which is our Cultural and Equity Center, and the virtual building behind me. And I have to give Dean Maria credit because I have an earworm, and it's Tiburones by Ricky Martin and Farruko. And I kid you not, listen to it on a daily basis for the last 2 weeks. So there you
go. Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much. We are so excited that you're here with us. And now let's introduce you to our current students. So students, if you could tell us your name, pronouns, class year, your major, your hometown, and where you're located on campus. And if you want to throw in a fun fact, that would be awesome. So let's start with Adam.
Oh, okay. All right, let's see if I can remember all of that. So my name is Adam Valencia. I'm a junior at Hamilton, majoring in computer science with a minor in education and mathematics. I already forgot the rest of the things.
Where are you on campus?
Yeah, so right now I'm at Science Center, where I usually spend most of my time because I'm heavily involved in computer science. I'm from Dallas, Texas, originally. Grew up there my entire life. And a fun fact, I'm gonna be living in San Francisco in the summer to intern with DoorDash. So I'm excited about that.
That is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Salwa, do you want to go next?
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Salwa, she, her, hers. I'm a sophomore, double majoring in French and interdisciplinary social justice and sustainability studies. I'm from Iowa City, Iowa, so I just want to give a shout out to Lily in the chat, who's from Wisconsin. I love all Midwesterners. I'm currently on Darkside Opus, or in Darkside Opus, which is one of our two Opus cafes on campus, and the ambiance is wonderful. They're always playing super nice music, and I had really good focaccia from here earlier. So Opus is a vibe. And fun fact, I'll do my favorite song, which is Mercury by Sleeping at Last.
It's interesting. See, now I'm going to have to listen to all of these songs at some point too. All right, cool. Christopher, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Right. My name is Christopher. I go by Chris, and I'm a sophomore here at Hamilton College. I'm an econ major, and currently I'm in one of the academic buildings here on campus. It's called the KJ building, and that's because I usually before the pandemic era, I take most of my classes here, and so I've gotten used to the building. I'm also from Ghana, from Kumasi, Ghana, to be precise, and my pronouns are he, him, his.
Do you want to give us a fun?
Right. A fun fact about me is that when I was 16, I took a picture sitting on the crocodile. So,
that is
large
fun.
flex.
All right, Rachel, you're up next.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a junior. I'm double majoring in creative writing and Chinese. On campus, I'm in minor, which is, excuse me, one of the residence halls on campus. So this is my dorm. I live in a double with my roommate. She just exited to go shower. But a fun fact about me, I guess I could do the song one. this is really embarrassing. For the past like few months, I've been listening to Uptown Girl by Billy Joel on loop. Cannot stop listening to it. And I blame The Crown, because like I've heard the song before, but then like, you know, Princess Diana, the character, started like listening to it, and I was like, oh, this is so good. And now I can't stop. It's so good. And my all my cohort mates are really annoyed because they hear me play it in the shower like every single night. It's just great.
It's just what you're feeling right now, and we love it. So we will get started, and I want to let everyone know that there is a Q&A, and like I said, you can put questions there, and we've also taken all of the pre-submitted questions that we hopefully will get to tonight. So our first question, we'll have Rachel kick things off. So let's just hear what brought you to Hamilton College.
Like what brought me, or like how did I find out about it, or?
I would say why did you end up at Hamilton?
Okay, so I also kind of list 3 reasons when thinking about this, just because they all kind of work together. But my first is because I think I really loved Hamilton's emphasis on writing and oral communication, and obviously I love writing because I'm a creative writing major, but also I definitely want to like strengthen my writing skills, and I want to be able to kind of leave college with 2 really tangible skill assets that would help me like everywhere, like both, you know, job settings and like in life and relationships in general. I thought, you know, writing and oral communication is always going to be super important. Second is because of the open curriculum. I came into Hamilton thinking I really knew what I wanted to do, and I came in as like an econ major, so I'm clearly like very different trajectory now. But I just wanted to like take econ classes and English classes, and that was it. But because of the open curriculum, I had like a lot of extra space to take different kinds of classes. I end up exploring with like Chinese classes and other sorts of courses. I end up really falling in love with like learning different languages and then writing, and so that's where I end up now. So it actually worked in a way I didn't expect it to do, but definitely the open curriculum. And then the third is because it's the most inexplicable, but when I came onto campus and I was touring, I just really like fell in love with the campus, and I just also the students were so friendly, and it was so beautiful. And I just remember when I came, it was like the fall, and I don't know, it was just a beautiful feeling, and I definitely felt like I had like a gut instinct that was like, go to Hamilton. So
That's awesome. So I'm going to throw the same question actually to Paula and Maria as professionals that, you know, you're looking for jobs. Obviously you moved, not obviously, but people should know that you moved, you weren't down the street. So what actually brought you to Hamilton as well?
Yeah, so I moved from Oklahoma, so not far from my folks in Dallas and Houston. Far, but not that far. And I was at the University of Oklahoma, and you know, I had the opportunity to meet Dean Maria Henao-Ohms, and we had a really great conversation about the possibilities for diversity, equity, and inclusion work at Hamilton. And when I came for my on-campus interview, I got to meet several students who are now, you know, juniors and seniors, and just had some really great conversations about what they wanted to see. And I think what is really exciting is the way that I center the center's work is putting students at the center. And I get the opportunity to work with Salwa. Salwa is also a DMC student ambassador. And then I'm calling on students I know, and Adam and I work together through La Vanguardia, one of the student organizations. And so just interfacing with students and building out a cultural center's work is so important, because it's your campus and we should do it with students at the center. So having the opportunity to do that at Hamilton with the incredible support of Dean Maria and our Dean of Students office, I couldn't pass up the opportunity. So I came in for an interview. I was like, this is really nice and green, because I came in like early spring, so there was no snow.
We fooled you.
Yeah. But, you know, and then I said, you know, I did a good interview, hopped on a plane, and I said, you know, cross my fingers, I hope I get it. And a year and a half later, through a pandemic, I'm here and I'm loving it every day.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I also moved to the area. I actually, to all the folks that are watching us from the Midwest. I moved here from Chicago. So big ups to all the people in the Midwest. I saw somebody who's here from, I think, Kenosha, which is not very far from Chicago. So I would say for me, it was similar to Paula's sentiment, is that the position that I'm in is actually a new position to the college. And it's something that really signaled to me the college's interest in thinking about equity and inclusion work very differently. So for an institution to create a position like this one and essentially say, we're going to invest in this, not just by lip service, but really putting in resources, fiscal resources, as a diversity and equity professional, speaks volumes. And so in my role, I have had the opportunity to begin building out and pulling together some of the work that has already been happening here and getting to work with folks like Paola. I also work really closely with our chaplain, which is our religious and spiritual life area, and also with our assistant dean for accessibility and international students. So I saw somebody from Brazil that's on here. So, some really thinking about diversity very differently and thinking about equity and inclusion very differently. And, and so that's more of the professional side of it. But what also really attracted me were, as, Paula mentioned, the students. I had an opportunity to meet with a lot of students. And so it wasn't just that the students are really great, which they are, but it's how motivated they are, how engaged they want to be in this, and not just, having us do this. It's really about engaging as a community. Plus the campus is really beautiful. And I also came here when the snow wasn't on the ground, but coming from Chicago, I feel like you can handle any kind of weather. So I'm happy to share some tips around snow, because you definitely don't want to play around with that.
Nope.
Thank you both so much. So we'll go back to actually some questions for our students. So Adam, why don't you talk about the campus community? So what is it like being on campus? Are people friendly? What's the kind of vibe that we have going on here?
Yeah, so adjusting to campus was one of my biggest things as a freshman, because I came from Dallas, and this is a school in the middle of New York. So having that environmental change as well as like a cultural change, because Texas is very different from upstate New York. But it was a welcome change. Like, I was a little upset that people wouldn't be like, holding the door open, but that Southern hospitality, you kind of miss it sometimes. But yeah, I think everyone was really really willing to like make friends with freshman year, because I feel like everyone's in the same boat. You come from high school, you're in a new setting. Like, I think everyone's also like looking for that sense of community, and I think in that is how we kind of built community my freshman year. And although I don't talk to like some friends that I had my freshman year, I'm still like very close to most of them. I know a big part of freshman year is you have an orientation trip, and like one of the people from my orientation trip, like I still eat lunch with them like every other week, because I miss the French. I enjoy the friendship that you kind of cultivate through that orientation trip. It's something that I didn't know about prior to coming to Hamilton, and it was something that at first I was kind of skeptical of. I can see like the effects of it, even at me being a junior. But I think everyone is really open conversation and making friends. And personally, I'm someone who needs a little help getting out of my comfort zone. So, now I'm all over the place on campus, not afraid to talk to people. So I call that personal growth.
That is personal growth. That's awesome.
Oh.
So I'm going to do a quick lightning round here just to get us a little warmed up. Everyone is going to answer the same question. Are we ready? Okay, Rachel, favorite thing to eat on campus? Go.
Ooh, I guess Diner B, back when it was open, the what's it called? The everything bagel with the egg, bacon. I can't remember the order anymore, but it's like a breakfast food at 2 a.m. and get it super good.
Chris, favorite thing to eat?
Also Diner, special soups. I like checking out the daily menu on Diner for the soups. So I just try anything.
Nice, keep you warm. Paula?
Right now, the salads in the field house. There's like a make your own salad. It's fantastic.
All right, we'll take it. Salwa?
I love McEwen breakfast. Like, I drag myself, I live all the way down the hill, And every morning I will drag myself
Oh.
across campus, walk up the hill to get the most delicious tofu scramble, bagel. They have overnight oats. They have so many options and it's so good.
Awesome. Maria?
I have to say that it's a toss up for me. So I agree with Salwa. I do love breakfast at McEwen. Whenever I can have a breakfast meeting, I will, and it will always be McEwen. But then it's also the desserts that our pastry chef puts together that I could literally eat everything. It's good.
Adam?
Yeah, I think diner breakfast, bacon, egg, and cheese on everything bagel, kind of like Rachel, with some tots, ketchup,
That's
hot
what it's
sauce.
called.
Yeah, because you can't forget the ketchup and hot sauce mixed together.
All right, so Chris, as you're sitting in the Science Center, do you want to share with our admitted students where is the best place to study on campus?
Right. I'm actually in the KJ building. But the best place to study on campus, well, these days it's my room, number one. But I think I do love the KJ Center as well. There are so many rooms here that you could opt for, and I just like, you know, there's this kind of like thing here where people try to get into these rooms early, and like so I like that slight competition, getting early, reserving space. So that's pretty cool here. Yeah. So KJ building, second choice. First choice, my room.
Fair enough. Salwa, do you have a favorite place to study on campus?
I do. If I want, like if it's the type of work where I need social life to be happening around me, always Opus. Always, like I think maybe you can hear people laughing in the background. It's always lively. But if I want a quiet place, Root, which is one of our academic buildings, always empty on the weekends and all the classrooms will be empty. So I just go in there, take a whole classroom for myself and get work done. So it's very nice.
That sounds pretty lovely. So this one I'm going to throw to you, Paula. Can you tell us what is the DMC and what organizations make up the DMC cluster?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Days Solo Center, the DMC as students call it, is our Cultural and Equity Center. And we have 6 student organizations, and it's like I have 6 children, so here we go. We have the Black Latinx Student Union, La Vanguardia, Feminista Color Collective, our Gender Sexuality Student Union, our Women's Center, and C. Christine Johnson Voices of Color lecture series. And so those organizations are under our umbrella, and we get to support, work alongside them. In addition, we have a temporary staff member who is our LGBTQ identity specialist, who meets one-on-one with students who want to talk about gender and sexuality on a one-on-one basis. Or, I have a question, they can talk to that individual, to Lexi, or there are also groups. So we have Open Doors that meets weekly. So Open Doors is for anyone who's exploring gender, sexuality, non-binary, asexuality, or aromantic. And then we have our trans group. And we're in the process of developing another one because from Open Doors, there's a smaller group that wants to meet. And so they meet weekly in what we call Circle, and just having incredible uplifting discussions in a brave and safe environment for students to discuss this with a trained facilitator. So, you can check us out on the website. I'll drop that in the chat. But at the same time, we have several programming. So you'll see on our website right now, we're in the middle of Social Justice Initiative Month and Women's History Month. And so there's actually a Women in Climate Justice panel that is going on right now. And then tomorrow we will actually have a student panel on student activism, right? Like, what does that look like coming from, activism that may have been had in high school to college, and how do you also like care for yourself, right? Self-care is huge if you're in movement building. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. And I kind of want to like pitch it to Sadwa because we get to work together. If there's anything I missed or anything that you want to add as the current DMC student ambassador at the DMC, because Sadwa's incredible, does all of our social media. So
yeah, if you want to just highlight some of the events you've been working on, Sadwa, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so I did Black History Month trivia every week, every Sunday on the DMC Instagram story, and we had prizes, and then also Women's History Month trivia. So that's been super fun way to get everyone engaged on campus. It's been super nice, but also the DMC is open for students to come in. And that's my favorite thing, is when I'm on shift in the DMC, because students can just pass through. And during a typical semester, the kitchen is open, so people cook together. It's a really wonderful social environment. So I love being a DMC student ambassador.
So just
That's
to
awesome.
to kind of share with you, Joanne, for many students, they consider it their home away from home. I mean, to the point where I'll walk in and they're asleep, right, on the couch in non-COVID times. But like Sadwa mentioned, we have a full service kitchen that students can cook their own meals or have events. But also upstairs is our GSU room, where students can, have meetings in there or study. And then our women's center is located in there. And then we have a swing partnership office with the YWCA of the Utica area. And so we are, all encompassing, growing. And so I encourage, students to start connecting with us, look at our social media. We are bringing Peppermint, as Tyler put in the chat on April 9th. So check that out. You can register, it's open. And then we have a wide variety of events with talking about environmental justice and indigeneity with Shutescott Martinez up on Earth Day. So that's just, like I said, the tip of the iceberg of what we get to do. And I want to center, before I close, our trans students, because today is Trans Day of Visibility. And so I want to make sure to acknowledge that, to name it, and to just, send a virtual hug and love to our trans students who might be in the audience.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Students, can you think of any events that we missed or didn't talk about that all students should know that are coming out of the DMC? Or do you think we hit it all? I can think of one. I thought it was pretty cool to do the luminaries back in the fall for Black Lives Matter. I did that with my daughter, so I was really pumped about that. But it's really nice to be in a really inclusive community where it's not just observing one thing, it's almost everything under the sun. So I really appreciate all of your efforts and the students' efforts to make everyone feel like they have a home here. So I'm going to throw this question at Chris. I think he might be the most appropriate to answer this one. What is it like to live in Central New York, especially since you come from so far away?
Right. Yeah, it definitely has been a big change for me because I came from Ghana, like you said. And I think, yeah, initially, I think the biggest shock was, well, first of all, the culture, and then we had also the weather as well. And so, in my early, semester here, it was kind of like a little bit tough for me to adapt. And but that's one of the good things about having a community here is sometimes you really reach out to people, and I didn't know a lot of things about how to live and survive in winter, for instance. But it was really nice to just reach out to people, and a lot of people gave me tips. Some of them even gave me like clothes, like gloves, all that stuff. It was really nice, just like getting out all in. And so I'd say, yeah, it's been a big change for me. And I still am adapting to an extent, but it has been it's been really nice having people around that I could reach out to. I feel like I have a good sense of community here. The international community as well has been strong. And I get to reach out to all these people and see how they did it, and that has been really helpful. So I think living in New York City has been also really great. It wasn't when I came, because of the winter, I had like a perception by the end of that semester. I was like, I might not be able to live here, and then summer came around, and that was a good thing because it changed my entire view of things. I started biking, for instance, and I found, I discovered there's a glen here on campus, and I discovered more trails in the glen. Like, I pretty much went biking every day, and it was really fun being here. So it has been that kind of transition for me, and I think I did relatively well this winter, better than my last winter. And yeah, just trying to like find ways to, adapt, and that has been really interesting experience for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam, do you have any tips, or Salwa, Rachel, coming from the other side of the country? Anything for the students?
I think.
Oh, go ahead, Rachel.
Okay. No, I definitely agreed with what Chris was saying about like just worrying about the weather. I remember that's like one of my biggest concerns when I first packed up to go to New York. And I asked everyone around me from California, and I was like, how should I prepare for the winter? And I had some friends who had gone to grad school in like the East Coast. And so they just gave me advice to layer up. but I'm honestly like amazed by my body's ability to like adjust to like different temperatures all the time. Because every time I go back to California for the winter, at first I'm like, oh, it's like, it's so warm. But by like the third week, I'm back to wearing like my super thick winter jacket, even though it's 50 degrees outside. And then I come back here and then it's like super cold, but then I readjust really quickly. And then by the second week of being back here, if it's 30 degrees, I'm like, oh, wow, it's so warm. So yeah, I think I was worried, but I didn't need to be.
Yeah, just on that, I feel like that's also one of the big things for me, because whenever I go home, people think it's cold when it's like 60, and I'm like, yo, no, this is not cold. So always have to like do that explain, just like try to make them understand how cold it could get and how bad it could get. Yeah, that's really funny as well. I just thought I'd shoot.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about like campus life, social life. What are the evenings and weekends look like for you? So Adam, why don't you start? Like, what is a typical Wednesday afternoon?
Yeah, so on Wednesday afternoon, it's a little busy for me because I have my class until like 2, and then I'm a part of this club called Roots, and it's focused on students of color in STEM. So that was started by one of my friends, Joel, and a now senior Kayla, and they're both a part of this program called Posse. Posse, yeah. So we have meetings every Wednesday, and I look forward to those meetings because sometimes we have professors come in to get us more used to talking to professors, because I know that can be kind of daunting at first, as well as just like some level up workshops to like, just improve on some skills. And then Thursday, I have my reading responses due for my education class. So I read like 6 hours worth of reading. I think Salo was in that class with me too. So yeah, I kind of do that on Wednesdays. But most of the day in my free time, I spend a lot of time walking around, especially now since it's warmer. Because I just do it because, sometimes I bump into my friend, and the next thing you know, I'm going to go eat with them or we're hanging out. Um, there's also plenty of things to do on campus. I don't do those because I don't know. Sometimes my room can be really attractive and playing the game. But on
Fair
a
enough.
weekend, yeah, on a weekend, I'm trying to think about. Oh, I can't believe I forgot this. Wow. So I'm a state off programmer, and state off are people who right, like what am I doing? That's my
That's
job.
really important.
So the state off is the state off student center, and they're basically in charge of putting together any activities that are for students. Um, in the past we've had people come, like comedians. We've had late nights where we pumpkin carving. We have succulent pot planing, trivia nights. We have a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm basically in charge of creating those events. So usually on weekends we have at least 1 or 2 events for students to do. They last until 1 a.m. So if you're like a late night butterfly, so yeah, I spend a lot of my time working on those and getting those ready. They're really, really fun because I think the best thing is when you have an idea and then, a couple dollar signs later, you're seeing everything come to fruition, and just seeing people enjoy it. Like this past week, someone reached out and they wanted to have a hat painting thing. So I was in charge of that program. So we ordered a bunch of hats for students, got patches, paint, and just seeing everyone have fun and have music in the background. It was those moments like that I'm happy to be in that kind of job.
That is pretty awesome. Would anybody want to talk about like the Clinton area or going down the hill to check things out with your newfound freedom with the jitney? Anyone? Rachel?
Sure. I guess I do frequent downtown Clinton, not just for like, grocery shopping at Hannaford's or whatnot, but I remember like in the fall, we usually go down to like, they have like a art fair or like a farmer's market. And that's always really fun, just seeing like the kind of local art. I always get like a little mini like painting on a wood block, which is super cute. And then they used to have like a really, really good acai bowl place called Sobol. And I'd go there all the time. And they had like different, acai bowls for different seasons. They had like a kind of pumpkin spice one as well, which is super good. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different activities downtown. But yeah, I really love like the falls like farmers market. Um, oh, and then cider mill, of course, like going on a cider mill every like autumn. And me and my friends just go there and get like donuts all the time, like the cider mill donuts and the apple cider, and definitely makes fall super fun and festive.
Maria, Paula, do either one of you want to touch on how important our proximity to the city of Utica is for students who are coming from more of a diverse background? I know typically, you hear rural, somewhat suburban, and the assumption is we're in the middle of nowhere, but do either one of you want to do some highlights about Utica and how that can be a great resource for our students that are coming here?
Absolutely. And I will say that I'm still exploring Utica, so I'll take any assistance. I mean, that's how much there is happening in Utica. So, I will say as somebody that relocated here from a big city, it definitely felt like we were really rural, and, Clinton is, but Utica is literally maybe 10, 15 minutes up the road. And it's as if you've gone to a completely different world. There is everything from different types of markets. So I identify as an immigrant. So I moved here, from the Dominican Republic. So I identify as Latina. And, there's different markets that offer just different things that allow me to make dishes from my cultural background. But you can also find markets from all over the world that have everything and anything that you're looking for, in addition to restaurants. And also those communities are very centric in Utica. So it's a matter of, seeking those out. And one of the things that I'll say is I give credit to some of the students that are on campus that actually were the ones that guided me to Utica and gave me information about where to go. There's also, depending on your faith tradition, you will likely find a religious spiritual life there that is connected to your faith tradition. So, I encourage you to ask questions around that, and we can definitely guide you and connect you. We have relationships with the imam that's in Utica, also connection with a rabbi that's in Utica. So, there's different ways to get connected. And even though it may feel like we are really, really remote, Utica is definitely a resource that I think is not often tapped by students. So we'll definitely find ways to get you connected there if you have any questions.
Absolutely. And I can attest to the food. I love to eat. I am originally from the Caribbean, so finding random, dashes of things that I need has been actually quite simple living in the city of Utica. So it's been a huge benefit to me. And I know just talking to the students that it's eye-opening when they're like, oh, I can get, such and such at this market, and it's reasonable at a student cost. It's actually, it's a huge benefit for our students. Great answer, Maria. Thank you so much. So I will ask Adam this question. Are there any of the cultural club programming that you think that students cannot miss? Like, what is the best event that you think all students coming in first semester, they have to do this?
Yeah, so things have changed a little bit, but I know I'm hopeful that we're gonna get this program happening soon. But one thing we do is we have a Latin ball, and that was fun because you get to stunt and seeing your friends in sweatpants for 3 days and then seeing them like cleaned up real nice. You're like, okay. But that's something that we look forward to. We usually have food catered, we have music, and it goes pretty late. Like we're dancing until they're like, all right, it's late, I gotta go. And I did that my freshman year, and sophomore year actually, but I joined late because I had to work that day. Um, but I'm hopeful that we're gonna get that started soon. I believe FCC has this one event called Speakeasy, and I really enjoy that because I think it takes place in Opus, and people use it as an outlet to share any type of like um, I don't know what the word to use, but like whether it be singing, poetry, Anything in that scope, right? It allows you the space to do that, and I like going and supporting my friends and hearing what they have to say. And I know freshman year there was this one student named Sakarja, and I always loved going to any events where he was speaking because his mouth was blessed by some other power, because whenever you heard him talk, he definitely dominated the room, and those things kind of happen at events like Speakeasy. So yeah, those two things are my highlights.
That's amazing. Salwa, what would you say was surprising to you about campus life here?
I guess the ability to make friends in class. Like, I did not expect that. I was like, oh, like the type of institution that this is going to be like all business in class. But I think most of my classes have had 10 people or less, maybe maximum like 15 to 20. And that really allows the opportunity to make friends. Like, most of my closest friends that I see every single day came from an Arabic class that I had my freshman fall. Like, it's very, very, very easy to make friends here. And I was expecting it to be a little bit harder. So that was a very nice surprise.
That is so true. The class thing.
So let's talk a little bit about academics then. I'm going to give this one to either Maria or Paula, but could one of you just talk about the new up and coming ALEX program and how that's going to be a huge resource for our students?
Yes, so the ALEX Advisor Program is essentially just that. It's advisors that are going to be matched with students when they arrive to campus. And we're starting with a class of 25, so all of you. And these advisors will be assigned to you, and you will be with them for your entirety of your time at Hamilton. So you will also be connected to an academic advisor. So consider these advisors as what I like to say are kind of like your life advisors. They're going to be your guides while you're at Hamilton. They're going to be helping you think about, as you're developing yourself and moving through, what is it that you're interested in? I think Rachel had mentioned that she arrived with a certain major in mind and ended up choosing something differently. And that is completely how it is, right? Like, that's what we're doing. We want you to enter with your expectations and understand that those will probably be flipped on their head. And so these advisors are going to be there to help talk through it with you. They'll also help guide you through what I like to call the jungle that is the higher ed system. What is a registrar? What do they do in the registrar's office? When should I be applying for financial aid? Am I thinking of study abroad in the way that I should be? Who do I even talk to about that? Should I be thinking about career now, or should I not? So these folks are really going to be your go-to person that's assigned to you. And I will tell you, they will serve as part of your support system on campus, but they are definitely the person that you'll be connected with on day one that will be with you. So, I always like to define them as kind of like your life advisors as you're moving through your 4 years at Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm really excited to introduce the students to the 3 individuals. And
So
it's pretty awesome because you are with them for all 4 years. So you'll at least have one direct contact that's going to be constant.
Yes.
I just want to circle back to you, Maria, I think. So let's talk about like student activism. We touched about that. What is your role in all of this bigger picture, and how can students use you as a resource?
Sure. So I consider my role to have multiple parts to it. So I mentioned earlier that I have the opportunity to work really closely with Paola and the DMC, with our chaplain, who's religious and spiritual life area, and also with Alan Harrison, who's our assistant dean of students that's over accessibility and also the international students program. So that's the team, the folks that I consider my team, that out of their departments, they're doing a lot of the education, awareness raising, and all of that programming type of work. So really thinking about how are we educating one another around these different topics. So everything from race issues that we're seeing come up in the United States, to thinking the long historical draw, right? Because the things that are happening now aren't new. So how are we connecting all of those things? So they're really working on those pieces. Then the other portion of my work, and this is what I like to say is the non-sexy part of the work, but a very important part of this work is thinking about the system and what are the gaps in the system, and really addressing different things that have to do with, for example, we talked about today being Transgender Day of Visibility. So we've been doing a lot of work with partners across campus to address what folks consider or name as preferred name. And so how are we thinking about how all of our databases, when they collect that information, how it gets connected across campus? And why is that important? Well, that is important because names are important, right? Our names are a big part of our identity. And so we want to make sure that if we have a student who enters with a certain name but changes their name because maybe they're transitioning or otherwise, that they're able to make that shift, and that information tracks across all of our databases, so that students are not outed in the classroom, so that students are not dead named, maybe on a dean's list or otherwise, so just making sure that we're addressing the infrastructure. And those are the things that take a lot more time. So that's another part of the work that I do. And then I would say the third portion is I serve as the chair of our bias incident response team. And so that's a team of administrators and partners across campus that are addressing bias at Hamilton. So if you come across an incident of bias, you submit it in a report format, and we will contact you and address the issue. So we're considered a resource, and we're there to support you as a reporter, and then also find a constructive way to address whatever it is that you're reporting, and then hand it off to anyone else depending on the severity of the incident. I also serve as a liaison to the Posse Scholars on campus, which Adam had mentioned, which I love. And then also I serve with Joanne as a co-advisor of the Questbridge Scholars Network, which is also really exciting. So I'm really looking at how we are all working together to address issues that are happening across the world and then show up at Hamilton, right? Because we're not in a bubble. Everything that we see out there impacts us. So it's a really big picture work, but I get to connect with folks and I try to engage as much as I can to be a part of the programming that we're seeing on campus. So, and I could go on and on and on. So if anybody has questions, you can always hit me up.
We'll get you her email for sure. She'd love to hear from you. I do want to keep talking just quickly about academics for our students. Let's see, Rachel, can you tell me what your favorite class has been thus far?
My favorite class has been Study of the Novel. I took it last semester, and it's a literature course, and I really, really loved it because I have always loved reading, and that's why I like studying literature. But I think if anybody had asked me why do you read, or why do you like reading, it'd be kind of hard to explain, or be like, oh, this is why I'm studying English or something. And that class really just blew my mind, because it showed me how literature does really impact our social structures and the way things have been. And we're looking specifically at I think it was 18th century England or 19th century England. And we're looking at domestic fiction and how the rise of domestic fiction can't really be separated from the rise of the middle class and of the domestic sphere. And when I first started learning all this, I was like, there's no way that books have impacted us to that degree. But then I was thinking what our influences are now and what impacts us. And obviously it's media, whether we're consciously or subconsciously influenced. And I was like, what is the media of the 18th century? And it's literature, it's pamphlets and the written word. And so it all kind of just came together. And I think that class really showed me how reading literature and analyzing that can really help you understand the social structures and frameworks that are hold up our society. And so that class is just definitely a change your life class, which I've always heard change your life professors or change your life classes or whatever. And sure. I didn't think that was going to happen to me until I took that class. So if any one of you guys have the opportunity to take Professor Suzanne Taylor, I would highly recommend her. I am obsessed with her and she's amazing. So
thank you. So switching gears just slightly a little bit, Salwa, I'll throw this one at you. Did you ever feel any of the effects of imposter syndrome? And can you talk about any resources that you may have utilized to help you overcome those feelings?
Of course I can. Okay, so I came into Hamilton thinking I was going to be a gov major. 100% wrong. I took a political theory class that I hated, which switched gears. But basically, you kind of like make a list of 16 classes that you'd be interested in taking before your freshman fall, and then some person that creates a magical schedule for you. And I got signed up for an intro geo class, which I was like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. And I felt a lot of imposter syndrome because I wasn't sure that STEM was going to be my thing once I got to Hamilton. But I had the most, Rachel was talking about a life-changing professor, Professor Kat Beck in the geoscience department is that. Like, she was so very supportive. And it's the reason that I even became interested in geoscience in the first place. But my advisor, who I was taking a French class with, also provided me a lot of moral support. Like, she didn't know much about geoscience, so she couldn't help me on that end, but that was super nice. And also the QSR Center is a thing. And I did get some help from time to time. So that's basically like a STEM resource center. But I think just having a support system is very important. And you get that from your academic advisor, from your career advisor, from your professors. Like, I think there's a lot of support to make the imposter syndrome that you might feel in classes a lot more manageable.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That's a really important thing that you're talking about. And I think at some point in everybody's college career, we all have that feeling, and it's important to find those resources so that you can be supported and be successful. And we have those people here for you here on campus. So Chris, can you talk about your favorite tradition on campus?
Yes. So I'm on the e-board for International Cultural Association. And we basically do this thing where we organize a movie night every week. And it's usually on a Friday. You're like at like 7 o'clock, everyone is tired, just want to like chill out and like relax during the weekend. And I think it's usually a good way for me to just like approach my weekend. And I like going for those movies. Even though we plan it, we basically put movies from every part of the continent, and it's like you really get to like explore other cultures in that sense, and sometimes get to talk about the movies that you watch as well. So personally, I like doing that. I also like going to the gym a lot. Well, started 2 weeks ago, so I put a pressure on that. But some of my friends eventually convinced me to go to the gym often, and that has been a blessing, to be honest. I feel like really focused after my gym sessions, and it's really been really great in that sense. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So I just want to remind everyone we have about 10 minutes left, and if you're looking to ask those burning questions, now would be the time before we start wrapping up. So I'm going to throw this question to each one of you on the panel. We don't need a huge explanation, but if I was you, admitted students, I'd take this note down. So I would like each one of you to answer, who is one person on campus you think that every student should meet within the first month of being at Hamilton? So let's go with Maria. You can't meet yourself either, Maria. That doesn't work. Nope.
Oh my gosh, who is the one person? I was starting to think about it. There's so many people. Who's the person?
It's a tough one.
This is so hard. Can you come back to me? Do I get to pass for a minute?
You can do one in a second.
Okay.
Adam, you ready?
Oh, okay, go. Yeah.
Yep.
The one and only Paula.
Oh.
I didn't have Paula, I believe, my freshman year. And she came in our sophomore year, and it was like Superman came and saved the day, because it's the work that they're doing and the dedication they put into their job. You can see that like they genuinely care about a lot of students. And I think I met her once, and she never forgot my name after. So just little things like that. So I also definitely recommend connecting with
Love
Paula,
that.
because she's a huge resource.
Love it. Paula, do you want to go next?
Thank you, Adam. Adam and I bonded over our love of Dallas and our missing of like tamales and Tex-Mex. Like I could live off that every day. For me, I will have to give props. I'm gonna, break the rules. Dean Maria, because without her, I probably wouldn't be like a chicken with my head cut off.
Fair enough.
And then two, Professor Todd Franklin. Um, Significant institutional knowledge. Like if you want to know like where to go or who's been here for X amount of years, and like Professor Franklin. And then also he was like, you need to block out time on your calendar or else you're never going to get things done. And I kid you not, that has been some life-saving wisdom. So whatever Professor Franklin tells you, it's good stuff. And he's an incredible advocate for students. Roots was created because of his advocacy and push for funding as well as the students' work. So definitely connect with Professor Franklin.
Thank you. Rachel?
Oh gosh, I would have to say either, I guess, Professor Suzanne Taylor, who I mentioned before, or Professor Benjamin Whitus. He's my advisor and has been my advisor for the past 3 years. And it's just so wonderful. Like he is a professor who, if you take his class, you can tell he truly, truly cares for all of his students and like just wants to know about you beyond just like the classroom setting. And I remember one time he was asking my friend how her spring break went, her Thanksgiving break went, and she kind of had like a non-answer. And later on, he checked in with her like individually, and he just like really remembers like small details and is just so wonderful. And he's helped me through just like, he's like kind of my life advisor, kind of like my non-Alex advisor, and so he's helped me through basically every question I've ever had. I just go to him, and I'm like, hey, I knock on his door, I'm like, hey, I have a question. And he's just there, and yeah, he's just super supportive and super welcoming. Yeah.
Thank you. Chris?
All right, I'd also say Professor Heisel, Britt Heisel. I actually did follow that advice. She was the very first professor that I approached and was like, I want to take your class. And Professor Heisel is like in charge of the ESOL program here at Hamilton. And when I did that, what that did was throughout my time here at Hamilton, I've been able to, she's been that one person where I could go and talk to about, specific, the challenges that I'm facing as an international student, because that she's basically like the go-to person for international students in campus for a while. But obviously there's so many people that come to mind as well. But yeah, I definitely followed that advice and it worked out. So I'll definitely recommend.
Awesome. Maria?
Okay, so I've thought about this. And like I said, there's a lot of people. There are a lot of people. So I'm going to start very quickly. With, I think we've mentioned the dining halls. And so you really need to get to know the folks in the dining halls. I'm going to say you need to meet Mercedes, who's over in McEwen, who's always on the breakfast shift, and she's amazing. And then also Marge, who is, I think, an icon here at Hamilton, and she's over in Commons, and she's just so welcoming. So I have to say those folks. And then I would say you need to meet Russell Marcus, who's faculty member in philosophy. I hear his classes are super dope. And I've even said that I need to audit his class. But Professor Marcus has been an incredible partner for us. He's currently actually the advisor to Hillel. And then I would also shout out Professor Bemende Johnson, who's over in government, and she is also really, really great. And, Adam mentioned if we mention him, he wouldn't mind. So you definitely got to meet Adam Valencia when you get to Hamilton.
Salwa?
Okay, I'm going to list a general one and then a specific person. First of all, you should meet your career advisor as soon as possible. They are such a great help. Like my career advisor has helped me get internships. It just sets the frame right for your entire time at Hamilton. And they're so helpful. It doesn't just have to be about career. They'll help you with anything. Yes, I love Janine Oliver. But also, I'm going to go back and shout out Professor Kat Beck again, not just because she's an amazing professor, but because generally the geoscience and environmental studies departments, they know everywhere nature related that you should go to in the area. And Kat Beck is a runner. So she will tell you all the best trails and just like all the best scenery. So if you ever want to know what to do in Central New York, the geo department has you. They have your back. So I would shout out those two people.
Awesome. Thank you all. We did have a question that came in on the Q&A, and I think we should answer this one live. So the question is, what sorts of supports are in place for trans students? And is there roommate matching to ensure that LGBTQ students have accepting roommates? So Paola, Maria, I will leave that one to you.
So as I mentioned, I'll let Dee Maria handle the housing and res life piece. But for the student support piece, I mentioned we have our Lexi Mucci, our LGBTQ identity specialist, who is just incredible. If you haven't met Lexi, they are an incredible human being. And this is a non-clinical counseling, like non-counseling space, right? In our counseling center, we definitely have therapists who are there to support students who are LGBTQ. But Lexi provides just that space that you can talk with someone who identifies as LGBTQ and trans, and is there to just talk with you in an open space. And so I think that's a huge piece of student support, that you have someone you can trust, that you can go to, and they are virtual. So you can meet with Lexi wherever you want to meet with Lexi. Lexi's a remote staff member, and so it kind of has reduced the barriers to entry and support for our LGBTQ and specifically for our trans students. And so everything is confidential, and they have been an incredible integral piece to our remote experience and support for trans and LGBTQ students. So that's a big part of the support piece, as well as GSU. Our student organization is a great space that students can plug into on the student involvement side. And then on the res life side, I'll let Dee Maria handle that one.
Sure. So one thing that you will get to do is that you will get to jump into housing selection, and the students that are on this panel can speak more to their individual experiences if they like. But what you will do is you will enter information and you will fill out a form initially that tells about what are your interests. I mean, it's like a very long type of questionnaire about what it is that you're searching for. And then through the housing selection process, you will get matched and connected in that way. And so there will be opportunities for you to fill in specific information on the type of roommate that you're looking for, your schedule, things of that nature, and then also sharing of your identity so that the residential life staff can connect you in that way. So I am going to throw a link in here that gives you more details on housing selection so that you all can read up. There's a lot of information there, so make sure that you take your time. One thing I will say to you all is that the residential life staff is very responsive. So if you have any questions in advance, please feel free to reach out to them and they will answer any and every question. They'll hop on a phone, on a Zoom call, whatever you need.
Thank you so much. It doesn't look like we have any more questions and we are so close to wrapping up. So I'm going to do a little quick, lovey-feely closeout. I first want to thank everybody for joining us. It's been amazing. The questions have been great, and thank you so much for submitting ahead of time. Our students who are admitted, congratulations. It has been an unprecedented year. We use that and overuse that word, but really a testament to all of you and your hard work to be accepted to college, and you're so close, and we are so excited for you to join us. So to close us out, all of our panelists, I would like you to pick one word to describe your overall experience at Hamilton to close us out. So looks like Rachel's thinking. Salwa, you look calm, cool, and collected. So I'll start with you.
I think I would say supported.
Awesome. Love it. Paula?
I'm going to pass. Come back, please.
Okay. Adam?
Can I pass real quick too?
Rachel?
Passionate, like everyone's passionate.
Ooh, I like that one. Chris?
Adventure.
Ooh, Maria?
I would go with engaged.
Ooh, I like that too. Paula?
Authentic.
Adam?
Okay, life experience life experience, one word.
Ooh, love it. So thank you so much for joining us. We are so appreciative that you're here, and we cannot wait to see you this fall. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, the admission officers, our contact information is listed on the web, and please join us for any of our other Hamilton Hangouts. Go to hamilton.edu/explore. I would love to see you again. Have a great evening, and thank you so much for joining us.